Hello, my name is Svetlana Shasharina, and in this video I'm going to tell you about two breathing practices, Kapalabhati and Bhastrika. Both breathing practices came to us from yoga, from Hatha Yoga, and they are part of Pranayama, which is the art of controlling your breath. Kapalabhati is a simpler practice, and it means shining skull. In some practices, they translate it as a breath of fire, which is incorrect. It actually literally means shining of your skull with breathing. Bhastrika means bellows breath. Bellows is a device which is used to stoke fire. So basically it pushes the strong flux of air to stoke fire, and it symbolizes the vigorousness of this breath. Both of these practices have lots in common. They're both hyperventilation techniques, and both can be done in a standing position or sitting position. And you can be sitting on a chair, you can be sitting on a meditation bench. Any pose that you usually use for meditation will work. If you're just beginning these practices, I would recommend to try them sitting first, because you might feel a little bit lightheaded at the beginning. But as your practice progresses, you might start doing it standing, depending on the sequence you're doing, including these practices. So you can start with about 30-50 repetitions for Kapalabhati, and you can start with 10-15 repetitions for Bhastrika, and you can increase the sets to be several minutes, although I would not recommend to do Bhastrika more than, say, 30-50 times. It's pretty strong practice, and you might become a little bit too lightheaded and dizzy. What are the main effects of these exercises? Since they're pretty vigorous, they work your breathing system, you work your breathing muscles and ligaments and bones, so they make these muscles stronger, and they increase the mobility of breathing ligaments and bones. They activate sympathetic system, and you might become more vigorous, more energetic after practicing. So if you have an important meeting to go to, or you have a pickleball match, you might do these practices instead a cup of coffee or tea. So traditional use of these practices in yoga, and yogis didn't play pickleball. So the traditional purpose of these practices is to facilitate holding of breath. Let me explain. If you try to hold your breath, it prevents CO2 from leaving your system, and your breathing center is very sensitive to the level of CO2 in your body, and if it's higher than the center is used to, it will give the command to your system to start breathing. So if you do hyperventilation techniques like Kapalabhati and Bhastrika, you push out CO2 from your body, and it makes holding breath easier, and you can do it longer. So this is the main purpose of these practices. And in this video, I'll show you how to do these practices, but just by themselves, without the proper sequences, just so you can just use to do them in isolation, just to learn how to do it practically. Okay, let's practice Kapalabhati. Just a reminder, Kapalabhati, you pay attention primarily to very active exhalation, kind of sharp exhalation, and moving your stomach around the pupil inside. And inhalation happens naturally. Try not to move your shoulders up and down too much, and try not to move your ribs, as basically the movement only is on your stomach. It's nice to have a clinic, because things will come out. So I'll do, I don't know, 10-15, you can do 50, 100. As you become more experienced, you can go like 10 minutes. So pay attention to my stomach. If you try to do that, if you try to ask a question about Kapalabhati in the yoga studio, they probably will tell you to do exhalation, inhalation through your mouth. It's possible, but it's preferable to do breathing through your nose, and primarily all yogic breathing happens through your nose, except some special exercises like lion's breath and so forth. So like my teacher says, use your mouth only for eating and nose for breathing. So now let's switch to Bhastrika, and we'll do chest Bhastrika and stomach Bhastrika, and then we'll do the full Bhastrika. So when you do this zonal Bhastrika, try to move the area only around, like for a chest Bhastrika, move the area here. So expansion and contraction happens in this area, and not only in front, also on the sides or in the back. So imagine that you have like a cylinder here, which expands and contracts. And the inhalation and exhalation should be equally potent, equally powerful. Don't be afraid to grimace because it helps to do vigorous breathing. Okay, so let's do chest Bhastrika. Pay attention to my movements here. Excuse me. So let's now switch to stomach Bhastrika. So try to fix your ribs here and move only the stomach. I forgot to mention that in all these exercises, it's beneficial to involve Mula Bandha, which is a root lock. So contraction of your muscles around the pelvic floor, around the genitals. So now let's do full Bhastrika. So basically engage your chest and your stomach at the same time. It's a little bit hard to do it synchronously, but as you become more experienced, it will become more natural. So sometimes people will notice that their stomach moves first than the chest, or vice versa, but try to strive to move the whole area at the same time. Imagine a cylinder here and here, just one cylinder, which extracts and expands and contracts, and inhalation and exhalation. Okay, let's go. So full Bhastrika is pretty potent, so you can notice that you can become dizzy. So don't be afraid of that, it's a pretty natural effect. But if it becomes too much, just stop. So finally we do Bhastrika synchronized with movements of your arms. And it's hard to tell, is it full Bhastrika or chest Bhastrika? You should strive to full Bhastrika. But at the beginning, you probably noticed that it's primarily chest Bhastrika. Don't be concerned too much, just try to synchronize movements of your arms with your breathing. So the first movement that we're going to do is going to be like this. Note the movement of my spine as well. So inhalation will happen like this. Exhalation will go like this. Okay, let's begin. Second movement is going to be the following. Okay, let's begin. And the final movement is like this. So when you expand, you have the hands fully extended. When you contract into fists and try to hit the ribs with your arms. So let's go. Excuse me again. So don't be afraid, things will come out, just blow your nose. A couple of coming breaths. And that's it for today. So don't forget that it's this sequence that I was showing today is just to learn these movements. Typically you'll build sequences which will include Bhastrika and Kapalabhati and will be followed by holding breath, and we'll study them in next videos.